with the most famous, the Olympian gods, Zeus, Poseidon, Hades. Now, Leah, Zeus's mother, was told to feed all her children to Kronos because Kronos had a premonition that his child would take over and kill him, kind of like Kronos did to his father, Uranus. So, anyhow, the one time Rhea got tired of it. So she tricked him by feeding him a stone and saying it was Zeus. And Rhea hid Zeus somewhere until he came of age. Now, when Zeus came of age, he approached his father, had the big war with the Titans, he won. So, when his brothers and sisters were free, and mainly Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades were the three main ones to take over the planet. So Zeus said, since I freed you, I want to take the heavens. And then Poseidon said, I'll take Middle Earth, which is the oceans. And Hades was taken in the underworld. Now, I have taught multiple times about Hades that Hades is not evil. Matter of fact, Hades is the most level-headed and non-judgment of all the gods. No matter what Hollywood has told you, the fact that Hades, when you go to the underworld, it's divided into three parts. Tartarus, which is basically that of hell. Summerland, which is basically that of heaven. And Limbo. He is in charge of all three of those. So when the souls die, they all go to the underworld to be judged by Hades to where they go for eternity. Now, to go with this story, is that what's interesting is that Hades should have been, by rights, the one in Olympus, because he is the oldest of the brothers. And also in that fact, Hydra, it's actually the oldest of them all, which is goddess of home. But that's the short story about the three brothers, Zeus, Hades, and Poseidon. Now, let's talk a little bit about the family here, some other things. The main Olympian gods that you hear when Zeus, we know that Zeus had many children. He was basically the man whore. I'm sorry to say that, but yes, he slept around a lot. But Zeus, his favorite children was that of Apollo, which was the most beloved by all the gods, and Athena, which the one day, because he ate Mentis, which is a different story, consumed Mentis, and Mentis was a titaness of wisdom and knowledge. And so she birthed Athena, and Athena burst forth of his head. He had a big headache. He had Hermes come, break his head open. There was Athena, born in full armor and shield. So Athena, by chance, became his favorite daughter. Apollo is his favorite son. And I'm getting on this story because he had a son, Ares. Now, Ares we all know because of the games, because of the movies. But in fact, Ares is very misunderstood. That he is the most hated among the gods. Not the most beloved, but the most hated. Outcast from his father Zeus. And he just wanted his father's love, basically. And he is feared among mortals. So he really had no spot. I mean, no wonder he was hot-tempered. He was that of bloodshed and war. And another thing Hollywood has wrong, very wrong, is that he was actually really not called upon much at all. Because he was just that of bloodshed and war. He had no control over the battles. He would just go out there and kill anyone and everything. And unfortunately, his sister Athena, which is the most beloved by his father, he was jealous of because Athena was goddess of war and wisdom. And actually, in history and what they did, they called on Athena all the time, mainly all the time for war and battle. Makes sense. But they're not going to tell you that. Now let's talk more about Hades again, regarding Persephone. Now I have told this story multiple times before, but Hades, some say he had children, some say he didn't. My read shows that he did have children. But that's beside the fact that he was lonely in the underworld. He had no one. So Demeter had a daughter which was very beautiful, and she was very protective over her. So Hades one day basically came up, kidnapped her for his own wife. She became to love him, kind of basically love. It's kind of a weird kind of love thing, but he basically abducted her, and because he did that, Demeter looked everywhere for her daughter. She called upon Hermes to go to the underworld to tramp everywhere for her, and since Hermes did that, he found that Hades abducted her. So because Hades refused to give her back, and Zeus was like, I'm not gonna get involved here. Now, yes, Persephone's father was Zeus, if I'm correct. I'm pretty sure it was Zeus from my research, and his daughter was also that of Demeter, but he didn't want to get involved here. So Demeter said, you know what, you're not going to get involved, I'm going to turn this planet to the winter. I'm not going to grow anything. So humans started to die off because she basically made it an ice age. So Zeus finally got involved. But before he could get really involved, Hades made Persephone eat the forbidden fruit of the underworld. Sound familiar? But basically it was a pomegranate that she ate, which came from the underworld, which sealed her fate to stay in the underworld. But long story short, they did come to an understanding that Persephone would be with Hades half of the time, half of the year, and then she would go to Demeter on the other half of the year. So that is why we have winter. Because during the winter, Demeter doesn't want to grow anything. She's sad. She doesn't have a daughter. During the summer, she's happy, and we got spring and life. Now, since we have came to the end of this video, I appreciate if you have stayed to the whole end. But mainly, those are three big stories in the Greek mythology, or the Greek pantheon in my case, that are talked about a lot, but Hollywood has a little bit mixed up. Now, before I leave, that Zeus did have a favorite son, not only that of Apollo. Yes, Apollo was his favorite divine son, but the son he had from a mortal that a lot of us know, and also is messed up by Hollywood, is that of Hercules. But that's a story for a whole nother time. Anyhow, I thank you for staying with me, and remember, no one person knows it all. God is best.